I hit the floor before I ever reached the stage. One moment I was walking toward my master's degree, the next I was staring up at ceiling lights while voices blurred around me. The doctors called my parents. They never came. Lying in the ER still in my gown, my phone lit up with a tag from my sister. A smiling backyard photo, captioned, "Family Day without the drama." I didn't respond. I couldn't. Days later, still hooked to machines, I finally unlocked my phone. What I saw made me realize collapsing wasn't the worst part of that day. My name is Emberly Bennett, and I learned early that in my family, love came with conditions I never agreed to. I grew up in a small Pennsylvania neighborhood where front porches glowed warm at night and every holiday looked picture perfect from the outside. Inside our house, I always felt like I was walking around a cold draft no one else seemed to notice. My mother, Linda, built her entire world around my younger sister, Emily. She called her delicate, sensitive, someone who just needed a little extra. My father, Richard, had a script for me. "Emberly, you're the dependable one. You're stronger than most." He meant it as praise. It felt like a job description I never applied for. Whenever something needed to be fixed, absorbed, covered, or forgiven quietly, it landed at my feet. I remember tying Emily's hair for school because Mom was running late. I remember taking the blame for a shattered vase because Emily started crying faster than I could explain. Her birthdays were full productions, pink banners, cupcakes, 20 kids running around the yard. Mine were a small cake on a paper plate and a tired promise. "We'll celebrate properly next year." Next year never came. One winter, I ran a fever high enough to make the room spin. I lay on the sofa in a blanket, waiting for someone to sit with me. Instead, Mom zipped Emily into her recital costume and Dad asked me to be a good sport while they rushed out the door. The house dimmed as evening settled. I lay there listening to the heater clicking, trying not to cry, because I already knew no one would hear me. That was the rhythm of my childhood. Emily receiving softness, me receiving expectations. Somewhere in that rhythm, I learned to confuse silence with strength. Leaving for college in Boston felt like stepping into air that actually moved. I worked 2 jobs, studied late nights, and built a life that belonged to me for the first time. But the calls from home followed like a long shadow. "We're behind on the electric bill. Emily's card is maxed. Your sister needs help this month." Every time, I sent what I could. Sometimes what I couldn't. Because that old line, "You're strong," still lived under my skin, whispering that my needs came last. Boston, at least, gave me people who noticed things my family never had. Jenna, the coworker who shoved soup into my hands and told me to stop apologizing for being tired. Mark, who frowned when I swayed during shift change. And Dr. Lane, who only needed 2 sentences from me before saying, "You carry too much. Far too much." Even then, I kept going. Kept stretching thinner. Kept promising I would rest after graduation, after one more shift, after things calmed down. I did not realize I was walking straight toward a breaking point, until my body finally chose for me. The months leading up to graduation felt like living inside a tightening vice. Every day started before sunrise and ended long after the last train passed my apartment windows. I worked full-time at the hospital, picked up weekend shifts at a cafe, and squeezed my master's coursework into whatever scraps of time were left. People told me I was impressive. I did not feel impressive. I felt like a candle burning from both ends and somehow also from the middle. Trouble at home did not slow down to match my pace. It sped up. Mom called first. "We're short on the water bill this month. Your dad's hours got cut." A few days later, my phone buzzed again. "Emily. I messed up, Em. My rent's late. Can you cover it, just this once?" It was never once. Then came a car repair. Then a late fee. Then a maxed out card. Always urgent. Always landing on my shoulders. Some nights I stared at my bank balance, feeling the math crush my lungs. I always hit transfer. That same old guilt, "You're strong, Emberly," kept my finger from ever saying no. My body tried to warn me. A slight tremor in my hands while charting vitals. A wave of dizziness when I stood too fast. A pressure in my chest after a 12-hour shift. I blamed coffee. I blamed stress. I blamed everything except the truth. Jenna saw it before I would. Emberly, you okay? You look pale. I'm just tired, I said. It was true. It just was not the whole truth. One evening, after a brutal double shift, I collapsed into a break room chair and checked my phone. A notification flashed. Emily had tagged me. I tapped her post, expecting a meme. Instead, I saw my entire family gathered around the grill in our backyard. Plates stacked with food, laughter, sunlight warm on everyone's faces. The caption, Family Day without the drama. Something inside me dipped, like a floorboard giving way. Not anger yet, just a cold, hollow ache. I did not comment. I did not ask why she tagged me. I turned the screen off and pressed my thumb into the edge of the table until it hurt. Later that night, walking home, the world tilted. The sidewalk moved under my feet. I grabbed a railing and waited for the dizziness to pass. My pulse hammered in my ears. I told myself it was just exhaustion. I told myself to keep going. I told myself it would be fine after graduation. I was wrong. The morning of graduation felt unreal, like walking through glass. Boston was bright and sharp. Sunlight bounced off campus buildings, banners fluttered, families crowded the lawn with flowers and balloons. Everyone looked alive. I just looked functional. I smiled when classmates waved. Adjusted my gown even though my hands were shaking. My heart pounded too fast, too hard, like it was trying to warn me of something I still refused to hear. I checked my phone for a message from home. Nothing. When the ceremony started, the dean's voice rolled over the field. Graduates rose row by row, walking toward the stage as applause washed over them. I scanned the bleachers. Left, right, top row, bottom row. Empty seats. But not for me. Mine were never reserved. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Mom. Traffic is bad. We'll get there soon. Seconds later, go ahead. We'll catch up. I tucked my phone away, pretending it did not sting. Asterisk asterisk Emberly Bennett, asterisk asterisk, my name floated over the speakers. I stood. My knees wobbled. The stage lights blurred. I forced my feet forward. 1 step. 2. Then the world lurched sideways. A roar filled my ears. Grass, chairs, faces spun together. I collapsed before I reached the first stair. Gasps. Footsteps. Someone shouted for help. Cold crept across my fingers as sensation slipped away. Then nothing. When I woke, antiseptic filled my nose. Machines beeped in slow, steady rhythms. A warm blanket covered my legs, and an 4 tugged at my arm. The ER ceiling slid into focus as voices murmured around me. Dr. Whitman leaned closer. Emberly, you fainted from severe exhaustion. Stress, dehydration, heart strain. You've pushed your body too far. You're lucky you did not collapse somewhere alone. His words did not scare me. They confirmed everything I already knew and kept ignoring. Did my parents come? I whispered. He hesitated just long enough to answer without answering. We called several times. Left messages. No one arrived. Silence wrapped around the room. Not the painful kind, the revealing kind. Hours later, when my hands steadied, I reached for my phone. Another notification. Emily had tagged me. I opened it. Same backyard. Same grill. Same faces. Emily in the center, smiling wide. Caption, again, Family Day without the drama. My chest tightened. Not from exhaustion this time, from clarity. They did not miss my ceremony. They were not stuck in traffic. They simply chose not to come. A long exhale left my body. For once, it was not resignation. It was something shifting. But the real breaking point was still ahead of me. It arrived days later, when my strength was still failing and my phone lit up with 75 missed calls from home. The vibration started soft, then became relentless, buzzing against the metal side table like it wanted to shake the whole room. I had only been home from the hospital for a few hours. Still pale, still dizzy, moving like someone whose body did not fully trust her anymore. Evening light slid through the blinds, soft and gold, touching the stack of discharge papers by my bed. Buzz. 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 I ignored it, until I could not. When I finally grabbed my phone, the screen almost blinded me. 75 missed calls. Mom. Dad. Home. Emily. Over and over, like a chant. My stomach knotted. Not with fear or guilt. Something colder. I did not call back. Not yet. I scrolled. Messages loaded in waves. Why aren't you answering? This is serious. Emberly, pick up. You can't just disappear. We need you now. Emily is in trouble. Of course. It was about Emily. It was always about Emily. The earlier messages hit harder. They had not tried to reach me when I collapsed. Not when I was in the ER. Not during the days of silence that followed. They only cared now, when their problem needed my name. Dad had sent a photo of a bank notice. Blurry papers, alone, a large one. My eyes froze. My name was on it. My signature. Except it was not. Not the way I sign. Not the way my hand moves. It was a scan. An old one. From a rental form I had signed back home years ago. They had copied it. The bank wanted my confirmation. Without it, the loan would fall back on them, their property, their accounts, their mess. That was why they were calling. I was not a daughter in that moment. I was leverage. I did not respond. I texted one person instead. Can you come over? I need you. 20 minutes later, Jenna walked in with takeout soup and the kind of presence that keeps the walls from caving in. She took one look at me. What happened? I handed her my phone. She read in silence, jaw tightening. Emberly, this is serious. They can't do this to you. This is fraud. The word hit like a bell. Clear. Solid. Fraud, the thing I had been too conditioned to name. Jenna sat on the edge of my bed. We're not letting them trap you again. Not this time. We opened my laptop. Pulled up messages, screenshots, timelines. For the first time in my life, I did not defend my family. I did not excuse them. I did not soften what they had done. I let the truth stand. They used me, I whispered. They always have, Jenna said quietly. Later that night, still weak, still aching, I joined a video call with a financial attorney she recommended. I held my phone with both hands so it would not shake. He reviewed the documents and sighed. This is unauthorized use of your information. You don't owe them a single dollar. What they did is illegal. Illegal. Something in my chest loosened, like a fist finally opening. He walked me through my options, protections, boundaries I did not know I was allowed to have. If they contact you again about this loan, he said, tell them you know about the forgery and will not participate. The words terrified me and freed me at the same time. When the call ended, the silence in my apartment felt different. Not empty. Available. Jenna squeezed my hand. You're not alone. For the first time, I believed her. The next morning, just after sunrise, my parents called again. Jenna nodded toward the phone. Speaker. I answered. Mom's voice exploded through the room. Emberly, finally. Do you have any idea how stressed we've been? Why didn't you answer? I leaned back, kept my tone calm. I was in the hospital. A beat of silence. Then Mom cleared her throat. Well, yes, but Emily is in a crisis and we need you to focus. The bank will only talk to you. Your sister's future is on the line. There it was. The truth with its mask off. Dad pushed in next. You need to call the bank today. They won't deal with us. You have to fix this. I am not calling the bank, I said. His voice sharpened. Excuse me. I am not signing anything. I'm not covering the loan. I'm not fixing this. Mom's voice climbed. We could lose everything. Think about your family. I did, I said, my whole life. Dad's tone turned hard as metal. If you don't help, we're finished. Jenna leaned close and whispered, say it. So I did. I spoke to an attorney. What you did is illegal. You used my signature without permission. If you keep contacting me about this loan, I'll take legal action. The silence that followed felt bottomless. Then Dad growled, you're threatening us. I'm protecting myself. Mom's voice cracked, sliding from anger into pleading. We need you. Please, Em. We can't do this without you. A year earlier, that would have broken me. Now it only revealed what had always been true. They did not need me. They needed what I provided. I'm done, I said quietly. I'm done being the solution to problems I did not create. I'm done being your safety net. I'm done being the strong one so Emily never has to grow up. Emberly, Mom choked, you can't just abandon your family. No, I said, I'm finally not abandoning myself. Then I pressed the red button. The call ended. Clean. Final. Jenna let out a shaky breath. You did it. My hands trembled, not from fear, from release. That afternoon, I spent hours cutting ties. I removed myself from every shared account. Every automatic payment, every login. I called companies, reset passwords, documented everything. Each step felt like cutting another thread from a net I had been trapped in my entire life. By sunset, for the first time in 27 years, I was free. I stood by the window, looking at the city in the purple light, and whispered a sentence that tasted like oxygen. I'm not their answer anymore. Recovery did not arrive like a miracle. It came in small, steady breaths. I kept going to therapy. I slept more than I had in years. I learned how to say, no, without my heart racing. My body slowly forgave me for everything I had forced it to carry. News about my family reached me from a distance. The loan defaulted. The bank stepped in. Emily had to answer for her own choices, legally and financially. For once, I was not the cleanup crew. My life in Boston shifted into something gentler. I moved into a small studio filled with morning light. I took a clinical job where boundaries were respected. I changed my emergency contact to Jenna. One evening, walking home under blooming trees, I realized my chest felt light. I was not bracing for another crisis. I was simply living. Sometimes I think back to that moment on the graduation field, when my body shut down in front of everyone. At the time, it felt like failure. Now I understand it was my body doing what my heart was too afraid to do. It forced me to stop. To see the truth. To walk away. Standing in my own life now, surrounded by people who show up without being begged, I understand something clearly: choosing yourself is not selfish. It is survival. If this story sits close to your own, tell me where you are listening from. And if you've ever had to rebuild your life from the ground up, you are not alone.